How are you?
Good. How are you? Gorgeous.
I'm doing good, girl. I They were renovating this place, so normally like I'll have my studio up, but so I hope this is a good background because I just don't
It's
have. Now I'm holding it.
okay. I'm just excited to talk to you. It is totally okay. How's your
Okay,
day been?
girl, it has been so good. This summer has been a little rough though. I think it's just the heat that's just getting to my head, but yeah,
Now I'm in Michigan, so I know it's definitely hot there. Way, way hot.
girl. When I say hot, I mean like we were under like a state of emergency for extreme hotness. Like it was like 108 degrees all last week.
Wow, that is crazy. Well, I'm
I
excited
said I did not sign up for this.
to know.
Okay.
Wow,
How
that
have you been though? You've been great?
I've been really good. I've been really great. You know what's so funny is that before we begin, I have to say that when we met, well, many years ago, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you know how you can tell somebody has that it's like, oh, they're gonna be
Yeah.
something. I felt that about you, and you were very outspoken.
Oh,
And you were just like, you wasn't shy. I'm like, I don't know what field she's going into. I didn't know you that well back then. I'm like, it
yeah.
gotta be in entertainment. It has to be.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say I'm so proud of you, and I would love to
Thank
know.
you.
You're welcome. I would love to know, about your background. Did you ever have dreams of becoming a TV host, entrepreneur, content creator, all the things that you're doing?
Yeah, honestly, that was not the direction I was headed in. I kind of like found my purpose through the grind because originally, I have a background in political science, so I wanted to be like the president of the United States of America. Like, girl, that was my dream. I thought I was gonna be sitting up in the Oval Offices, calling shots, getting this country together, and I worked in politics maybe 6 months after I graduated college, and I was just like, this is not for me. You know what I mean? I'm super outspoken. I don't want to hear about if y'all not making change for my people, I don't want to hear it. Like it was just not for me, just didn't fit my personality.
Mhm.
And then I realized I was like, well, what are you going to do? I still wanted to make impact. I still wanted to use my voice. I still wanted to, be on a stage. I'm a natural performer. Like I've always performed all my life. So I was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, you can have your own talk show. So that's where like all was like, hey, yeah, you could still implement
Right.
change through like being a talk show host. So
Right.
there I was like, well, where do you go? How do I start there? I was like, well, go to Atlanta. I know everybody like cracks about Atlanta's like, if you want to change your life, it starts with them, not start moving to Atlanta. I would like to debunk that theory. I believe certain locations provide certain resources for you to propel.
Yeah.
So in my situation, I was like, well, you need to go to Atlanta because those Black people down there represent excellence and they're moving in a way where you need to move. And it has entertainment opportunities for you. And look what all that Atlanta has done for me. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it all started. That's how the journey begun.
Wow. Who are some of your inspirations? Now, I know you have your own media company as well. You've done so much, even
Yeah.
going to school, like you said, working in political, like that's amazing. Like, who are some of your inspirations? Not just, in media, it could be just anything, anyone in general.
Yeah, LeBron James. That's my biggest inspiration is LeBron James. He represents falling down so many times, but picking his head up. Like, I don't think people understand how much of excellence you have to have. It's one thing when you're always the winner, and it's another thing when you have to actually fight for your wins. So that makes his victory so much sweeter because he has had a rough time. So I found inspiration through him just because of my life circumstances, what I was going through all the time. And I'm like, man, if LeBron can get out there with the world telling him he ain't good enough and he will never be the GOAT, then why can't I? So
Right.
LeBron James is my inspiration. Serena Williams, she has always been my inspiration because at a young age, she was just dominant. Like she dominated what she has done. And it's funny because I remember being a little girl and seeing her on the back of the Got Milk cartons. And I'm like, man, like, this girl is on fire. But it's crazy how I'm 30 and it's still, the talk is still Serena. I'm like, who reigns for that much? So Serena has always been, she always represented excellence for me. And then, of course, the Oprah Winfrey. I think a lot of people have that who have talk show hosts. I believe, but Oprah is inspirational to me for the same reason as LeBron is inspirational to me because they told Oprah you didn't have to face for TV, you don't have to look. She came up through a very rough time, had all these hardships, and then she just like killed it. Imagine telling Oprah no that you ain't got what it takes. Them people gotta feel stupid now, like really though. So yeah, those are some of my inspirations.
Now listen, before I continue, I have to say, did you see the LeBron James family Vanity Fair cover and did you read the article? It's so beautiful.
Oh
Oh,
yes,
so
yes,
I was like, oh my God, Savannah. Like the entire thing,
yes.
like, incredible. So
They're
strong,
so
just
like,
yes.
and I feel like with LeBron, I feel like he knows what his position represents. So that's what makes it so much like, yo, you know what you're fighting for. You're not just playing for basketball. You're
Right.
playing for Black people.
Yeah.
You're playing for your children to be successful. Like you can tell that every time he's on that court and off the court, there is purpose behind that
That's
man.
a purpose. Exactly. Yep, I definitely agree. Yes. Now also speaking of media, as we know, getting into media it can be tough, but it can also be rewarding. What
Yes.
challenges have you faced when just being in media or just trying to like on that grind in media? And what rewarding parts have you had?
I would say the challenges. I had a lot of financial disparities. I think I come from like an old school like parenting situation where my parents was just like, "Girl, this is your dream. You got to put it together." And I'm glad they did it that way, to be completely honest, because I learned how to survive. But yes, I had a lot of like financial hardships. Like I remember, living out of my car for a good 7 months. Like, and I would like go to the gym, to take my showers, and then I would change in there and then put my stuff back in the storage. And I did that for a very long time. And that was very taxing, for me because I was like, at one point in time, just kind of like how Steve Harvey says it, like everybody has their turn back moment. And I remember thinking like, are you chasing a fantasy? Like you really think that you can do it? And then I just remember saying, you know what, guys, we gonna do this. If I started, I want to finish it. So those were a couple of hardships that I've had challenging in media, and then always being told no. Hence why I started my media outlet company. Because if you don't got the big resume, if you're not in the big clicks, if you weren't groomed to be the next girl, and especially at that time I wasn't living in Los Angeles, so if you're not coming up in that Los Angeles little area, they make it hard for you. They make it extremely hard. So it was hard for me to keep facing the rejection after rejection. I'm like, look, like I understand I might not have the proper skill sets, but I know I can jump in front of a camera. But by the time I got that last no, I was like, look, I'm just gonna take the power in my own hands and I'm gonna do it myself. So that's exactly what I did. I went in the streets of Atlanta and just started recording myself and recording the things that matter to me within pop culture, within social justice. And it was so rewarding. I remember being chosen for the NBC ABFF hosting program. And at the time, out of all the people they selected, I was the only one who wasn't on TV yet. So that was a little intimidating to me because I said, okay, when you go in here, you're not going to be as polished. You're not going to be as skillful. However, you know that you are purposely driven. So I just use that fire. Like, look, this is what I do daily. Like, I don't really have to put on a wholesome voice, or when I jump in front of the camera, I don't got to put on. Like, I am who I am on and off the camera. So I kind of leaned into that going into that competition. So that was very rewarding because out of my class, I ended up winning a talent meeting with Bravo.
Wow.
Yeah, girl. And when I tell you, like, I was just like, wow. And at the time, which is crazy, and I hate to bring this Negro up, but I was with my ex, and at this time he was being, not too faithful. And I never experienced that. I wasn't the girl who always had the man that wasn't faithful. This is somebody who I swore was my Barack Obama. Like I knew I had Russell Wilson, just come to find out I had Future. So with that going on while I'm competing, that is in the back of my mind. Like my life is still like drowning and I'm over here competing, trying to make my mark in the world. So it was very hard for me, but I pushed through and I actually got the reward at the end. And just a lot of opportunities came from me just always putting my best foot forward. I think my biggest rewarding moment was E.
Yes,
Like,
congratulations.
girl,
I saw that by the way. I said, oh, yeah, she got it. She got it. I saw that by the way. So
yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
So proud of
Thank you, girl. That came out of turmoil. And it's funny because a lot of times when people see you during these celebration moments, they don't know that they don't realize you could have just faced something so hard. And every time I can honestly say, when my back is against the wall and I'm fighting, that is where my victory, that is where my rainbows come. Like, I was my show, I had signed a 3-year contract prior to E, through Quibi, working with TMZ, No Filter, but then Quibi crashed. So my contract was up within 6 months. So I'm thinking I'm good in LA for another at least 3 years.
Mhm.
And it was just like, boom, swipe. Like, you ain't good. Like, you going back to the struggle. And that's exactly where the frick I went, back to the struggle, because at the time, this is during the pandemic, people weren't hiring like that. So I'm scraping, like, what can I do? What can I do? Couldn't go back to the TMZ tour bus because they shut that down because of the pandemic. And I'm just like, God, I tried so hard. I had to fight so hard to get here and create a name for myself, and it's falling apart. Then I remember just sitting down on my bed, like, God, just help me get to eat. Just help me get to eat. Just help me. I'm right here. I'm in the city.
Right.
How can I do it? And it's
right.
crazy because this is where I tell people all the time, man, God's favor is real. And that is important in my story. God has really paved the way for me. Like, he really has, because after I said that, maybe a week later, I was just researching. One thing about me, I'm a research, okay? I'm a research and lurk. And I was researching, like, okay, who's hiring? Who's hiring? And the little clip came out that, oh, we're looking for guest hosts for E. And I'm like, dang, I literally just asked God about E. So I was like, okay, girl, this is your time to do it. Well, I was late on the post, and I only had the day I found it was the last day to submit. So I'm like, freak, because you had to come up with basically your own version of the show. And I found out at nighttime at that. And I was just like,
Wow.
I was like, yo. So I was like, you know what? I said, God, I don't know how this is going to work. First of all, I hate being late to submissions, because when you're like the umpteen thousand person, it's like if they already found their people, you're out. So I'm like, okay. I was like, but I knew it was a sign, and I knew that I could just rely on my faith. And so what I did was, the show that I was out of, the show I submitted to for E and the show I just left were very similar. It was very authentic and just running down the pop culture news. So I took my clips of the last show and I just literally put it together and I submitted it.
Oh, wow.
And they called me maybe, and I didn't even think nothing of it. I said, look, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I wasn't going to miss the shot. So I put it in the back of my head and just went on. I forgot I even submitted to this. That's how much blindly I walked in. I just kind of like punched without like seeing a vision. You know what I mean? And they called me maybe like 3 weeks later and was like, yo, we got 1,000 submissions and we're so thankful for yours because we are excited. Like, we believe that you have what it takes. And when I tell you, you really would have thought like I got an Emmy, because I literally cried after my interview, because I said, look, and now I'm getting emotional just talking about it, because I was like, I literally was sitting on my bed thinking like, it's all over. Like, thinking like I had no more chances. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. How do I go up from here? And God was just like, I got you. Like, don't worry. Like, you've been a good person. You have sowed great seeds, and I'm going to come back for you. And yeah, and it's just so funny we talk about this because I'm scheduled to go back to E next week. So I'm just like, yeah, like I'm just like really excited. The biggest reward for me is having a connection with God, because when your resources run out, when people aren't answering your calls, when people are telling you no, God is the one that's going to come back in and say, girl, I've been gave you a yes. Nobody can tell you no. I'm gonna put you where I want to put you. And he sure did.
You know what I love about, I love your caption. I think it's in your Instagram bio. It's like, what does it say? Something about, for those who doubted me, I forgive you, or something in that realm of things. I'm like,
yeah, for all those who didn't believe, you are forgiven.
Yes, I love that, because it's like, you know what? I believe in me, so that's okay if nobody else does. So I definitely,
absolutely.
I definitely,
and media, you have to, especially when you're trying to be a talent, whether you're acting, even if you're, playing a sport, or even if you don't even got to be in the entertainment field. You can try to be the doctor. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard for you, and people can't see how you're going to make this happen. You really have to walk in there and see yourself already there. And like, when I talked to one of my homeboys who actually helped me when I first started in the streets. It was my coworker. I was working at a call center at the time, and he was very passionate. He would debate with me a lot of stuff, and I was like, "Well, can you just like come out in the streets and like kind of be my co-host?" And he's been phenomenal. He has grown so much in the industry. But he called me the other day, and he was like, "What is crazy is I remember you being at that call center, and you wrote on that piece of paper where you were going to go." And he was like, "It's crazy that 5 years I looked up, and you're in Los Angeles working at the places that you literally said you are going to do." So you literally can will your way into success. You can think your way into success. So that's why I said you have to believe. If you don't believe, you might as well hang it up. You're not going to get there.
Yep.
And if I can do it, trust me, anybody can, because I didn't have the rich parents. I didn't have the networks. I literally started from scratch, but I did have God. So, and I do believe that that's the reason why I'm able to stand here the way I'm here.
Yes, absolutely. I love your drive and just like everything that you stand for and your purpose. Like, I think
Thank
it's really
you.
awesome. You're welcome. And speaking of LA, I know you're from Jersey and then you moved to LA.
Woo!
Yes. Do you recommend people moving to start their career? And has your move helped you in your career?
Absolutely. Okay, now this is the thing about LA. LA is a little hard to figure out. It's not like the other cities, like it's nothing like New York. And I get it, New York is hard because you gotta hustle and bustle. But I can't explain LA. It's very tight clicked. But what I realized is that if you want to have a career in entertainment, you better get here, because so much stuff goes on, and the people who call the shots and the people that write in the checks are here. I'm not saying you can't make it from anywhere else, because we got the power of the internet. So now you have access to anybody you want to get in contact with. But if you ain't got the money like that, you need to come here. That's the reason why I came here, because I was like, you can't be trying to keep flying in and out. You're going to go broke. You're flying back and forth to Los Angeles for an audition here to try to network with these people here. So I came here, and now the resources are accessible to me. And even if I can't get through the door, my presence is known, and I can show up and figure out how to get through the door the next time. So you got to put yourself around the crowd. You got to put yourself around the people that you want to end up being like. And I'm like, if my inspirations are LeBron, Oprah, and Serena, they wasn't in Jersey. Even though Oprah really does have a house up in North Jersey, but it's just the point. They have a building here.
Yes.
So I do believe that you need to get around and tap into the world that you're trying to be a part of.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yes, everybody, if you want a career in entertainment, yes, move to Los Angeles. Has it helped me tremendously? Yes. Like when I first got here, this anytime I have to bring up this Negro, it really pierces my soul. But because I just felt like he had enough chapters in my book. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm tired, but it's unfortunate, but it's a part of my story. But I came here off a really, really bad breakup, dealing with this man. And and honestly, for the first time in life, I kind of lost like who I was. But it wasn't I lost who I was. It's just I couldn't see it clearly anymore. You know what I mean? And sometimes when you're in relationships, we allow people to put their limitation on us, their fears on us. We allow them to validate us. And it's okay to a certain extent, because when you're in a partnership, that's what you do. But anytime it becomes to the point where they're speaking not of life into you, that's when okay, you don't look for that validation. So I remember coming here thinking like, man, I'm not going to be able to make it. My partner that left me of 9 years, and he was kind of like very sarcastic, like good luck trying to get on TV. It was bad. It was bad. But when I first got here, because I came, like I was so broken, one thing about me is I have a lot of fire now. Like you kick me when I'm down, I'm really going to fight. And so I came here just like, I need to contact everybody. I don't care if I know them or not. I'm sending them an email. Wow. And I remember going to this Dame Dash event. It was like $75. I was pissed because I wasn't used to paying for events anymore.
Right.
And I was broke, and I'm trying to figure out my life. So I'm like, $75 freaking dollars. But, sometimes you got to invest in yourself for your elevation, right? So I was like, nah, it's worth it. You don't got a job, but when you go in there, just be prepared. And if you're prepared in that moment, there's no way you can lose. So I wasn't just gonna go in there like anything. When I paid that $75, I was like, now that's a lot of money. So you better go in there pitching yourself for a job. You know what I mean? We're not just paying $75 to look at celebrities in their face. I'm not gonna do that. So Yeah, girl. So I remember going there and I was ready to pitch to Dame because he has his own media outlet company, Dame Dash Studios. And I'm like, well, he don't got no correspondence. So, and I know how I build my business from the ground up. So I know how to add value to anybody who has an entertainment company. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like I got my pitch together and there were a lot of like interesting things that were happening where the stars were aligning. But immediately when I got there, after I pitched to him, I saw Van Lathan from TMZ there. So my pitch just shifted from Dame to now, oh, now
Right.
you can pitch to
Over
TMZ.
here.
Yep. And that happened a month after I moved here. So it was crazy because I was trying to land a spot on television. And as soon as I moved here, my life I landed on television. And I'm like, yo, if you would have never pushed yourself to move to LA, you would have never got that. You would have never got that. So yes, I think everybody should move here because you're now providing rooms that you really probably wouldn't be offered before because they don't offer those rooms everywhere around the world. They just don't.
Yeah.
Dame is not doing well, even though he just did a castle call in Newark, New Jersey, which I was like, that's interesting. But he's not just throwing events in Philly. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's the name of the game.
Right.
Just like the tech world. A lot of people come to California if they're into tech because it's a big base here. You know what I mean?
More
yeah. Just like if you want to have a great brunch, like I'm not going to tell people to come to LA. I'm going to tell people to go to Houston because they pop when they brunch. You know what I mean? Like you got to know where to go to get what you're trying to get. And sometimes it's not offered into a place. And we don't believe in sacrificing. People are so glued to their homes. To me, it's crazy because we got our whole lives ahead of us. Sometimes you got to leave that nest to go get what's yours. It's not going to be provided there. And you got to sacrifice sometimes your family time, leaving your family so that you can come up. So yeah, go to Los Angeles or come.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. I love it. I love it. Yes, no, you're speaking facts though. Like, because it's more accessible, more opportunity, and then flying back and forth can get expensive. So you kind of have to do what's best for you and
yes,
you can take a risk if you can. So
but you've always, and I'm big on creation. So I'm not saying that you have to, but somehow in entertainment, you're going to end up here. Somehow.
Exactly.
You can start cooking wherever you're at. You know what I mean? If you're in New York, Houston, Philly, Atlanta, wherever you're at, you can start your base there and you can build an empire. Look at Tyler Perry. You can build your empire right where you're from. But guess what? Tyler Perry also be up in LA. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to come here somehow if you want to level up because entertainment is here. Why wouldn't you want to come here?
Exactly.
You do a lot of business here.
You are right. And then speaking of just motivation and everything you've been through, all that you've achieved, right? What advice can you give to those who want to follow in your footsteps?
The biggest thing is treat people right. That's always my core value. It's always my go-to when it comes down to advice because we live in a society where people don't believe that we need people anymore. Mm-hmm. Relationships, connections, people run the world. You need to treat everybody right, not because you want something in return, but for the simple fact that when you treat people correctly, your life is filled with so much positivity and it keeps you afloat. Like when I tell you that it's not about, oh, I'm treating people right because I want an opportunity. I treat my girls right and my girls give me a sense of encouragement and shoulders to stand on when I'm ready to mentally give up. Mm. You need that. You know what I mean? If you're constantly treating everybody wrong around you, when it comes down to it, you ain't going to have nobody, and it's going to be really, really hard for you to be successful in no matter what you do, because we need motivation, we need self-development, we need encouragement, we need jobs, we need resources. All of these things are connected to people. Yeah. So if you treat everybody right, you're good. When I tell you, like for instance, Sister Circle, right? Before the show got canceled, and which was a great show, and I thank them because they gave me my first, live TV. Mm-hmm. Because TMZ wasn't live. It's not a live show. So they gave me my first live shows. And when I tell you that how I got that job was because in Atlanta, when I was interviewing people in the streets. You know, I'm really big on interviewing everybody. I don't care if you're a celebrity or you're a homeless person. Everybody matters to me, and your voice matters.
Yes.
And I remember being in the streets of Atlanta and me asking this individual who wasn't even a producer at the time about how did they feel about our political climate. And I remember, like, you know, us just being cool off of that. And after that, you know, we talked for some years, and he always checked up on me and he always encouraged me. When he got to be a producer on Sister Circle, they were like, oh, we need a host. They got a lot of personality who can like snatch this show up. He was like, I got the right girl. That literally came from me treating somebody right off the streets in Atlanta. I never would have, I didn't know he had aspirations to be a producer. Didn't know he would land being a producer on a daytime show. You know what I mean? And that opportunity came from that. Just a person off the street that I was like, hey, do you want to interview? You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, you never know how your full circle moments are going to come back to you. So if you treat everybody right, you are going to be good in life. I promise you, you reap every sow you see. So you sow good seeds, you're going to reap good things. But if you sow bad seeds, you will eventually, no matter how blessed you think you are, what goes up must come down. That's law of gravity. And on your way down, you're going to hit rock bottom if you haven't been treating people right.
Yes. And like you mentioned, you just want to do right just because it's the right human thing to do. Like, I just honestly, I don't understand mean people. It's just very disgusting to me. It's like, just be a nice person. And if you don't have anything nice to say, how about just don't say it? But I feel like everyone should just be kind. I just never understand mean people. Or,
and I'm such a big, like, I'm really big on like God. And let me tell you something. When your character is aligned, he puts a special favor on you, and he also puts a special protection on you. So you really, honestly, the best thing ever is to have great character, because at the end of the day, nothing, if anything, you're just going to have a blessed life just because of that. You know what I mean? I might have gone through a lot of dark times, trials and tribulations, but I've never been strung out on drugs. You know why? Because I had God to turn to, and he's always kept me like forward. He's always kept my eyes like focused, and he's always let me know, look, I got you. And honestly, that comes from just having great character. So again, like I was saying, like, yo, favor can take you places hustling can't. There are many opportunities I have where I can't explain that. I know it didn't come from hustling.
Right.
And that's when you know, like, dang, like, God, you really got my back out here. That was just favor.
Yeah. I love how you said that. And I also want to ask you too, you know, last but not least, I know you have so much going on. I know you mentioned you're going to be back on E soon. And, you know, what other goals do you have, or what other things do you have going on that you can maybe share? And if you can share, I understand, but I just want to know what's next. You're doing so well. I'm just so happy.
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, it gets hard, sister girl. It gets so hard, but I have a lot of things coming up. I'm in the process of writing a book, which I'm extremely excited about, because this book, I believe, is going to be the blueprint on how people become successful about, or what they do. What happened to me and how my head was able to stay above water is the reason why I'm able to stand here before you. So I can't wait for the book, because I know that this book is going to be able to help a lot of Black men and Black women who come from impoverished areas. That's one. Two, motivational speaking. I've started motivational speaking, and that's another passion of mine, because I just love adding value and helping people. So, and I don't believe my brand, even though I know people know I'm very like motivational, they haven't seen me in that light. So I'm excited for them to see how this is going to be able to tie into pop culture. And yes, and I also got back into acting, because, you know, I used to act heavily, but I wanted to put that away so I could really focus on this. So I'm glad I did. But now I'm ready to like take on both brands. So yes, girl. So you know, auditioning, signed on to a new agency this year, because I never, to be completely honest, everybody always asks me like, who's your agent? I never had one. Like, God has been my agent, and I was just moving this thing. But now I'm at a level where agents want to work with me, so I'm super excited about that. Yeah, girl. And yes, getting an Emmy. Like, I'm very serious about that. Like, within 2 years, I believe I'm going to be on a show, and I'm going to be an Emmy Award television talk show host. So
yes,
looking forward to that.
And I'm so excited for you. I know, listen, I know you're gonna get your Emmy. We all
Yes,
know it. We
thanks,
all know.
girl.
We all see what you're doing. So thank you so much. And
No
I'm
problem.
for you. And listen, I wish you all the best and all the.
Yes. And I wish you, before you go, you have been really consistent. One thing I recognize is hustlers and consistency. Okay. You've been so consistent. You've always had a pure spirit about yourself. You've been beautiful. So I pray nothing but success over your life. I know you're gonna do great things. I'm praying for your marriage because I saw you got married. So I'm praying for your marriage that you guys can be that union for a lifetime, praying over your family. And girl, like I plan on sitting right next to you with my Emmy. So I plan on looking over like, girl, this was the year we both got Emmys. So definitely see you at the top.
Thank you so much. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. And listen, you have a wonderful evening and
Yes, you do
congratulations
as well.
again. Thanks.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bye.